Do you have insurance
When is he
already?
gonna propose?
Bro, it's not investing already.
Hey, you book a hotel.
Hey,
Buy car already.
Hey, adult already. Hello.
All right, hello everybody. It has been a hot minute. Welcome back to Adulting with Former Children. We are recording episode 9. This is a podcast by Zero Media where we share our growing pains and learn from each other's mistakes as we try to become adults. Back to our introductions. Hi, my name is Jin and I treat my workplace people like family. I do not reply them. After working hours.
Hi guys, I'm Yang and apparently I'm the red flag in this office.
Clemens here, and yeah, I try my best not to turn my flag red.
All right, so for this episode, obviously we have no guest with us. It's just the three of us, and we're gonna try to keep it chill. And I think we were thinking about this topic when Yang and I were talking about toxic workplaces. The workplace is where we spend a majority of our adult time, unfortunately. And so some of us have really good environments where we work in, and some of us don't. The Zirp office actually had a reunion party for Weekend We class of 2021.
Correct.
Maybe a couple of weeks back. And it's been about 1 year since all of us started working since graduation, and everyone's been working really hard, but with that 1 year mark came a lot of people deciding to leave their jobs or like finding new jobs.
It's quite a lot, right? Because I remember only like a handful number just stayed in the current jobs. Like 4 to 5 people,
I think
remember.
so.
Really? Everyone left?
Yeah,
No
they
way.
are in a second company or they're intending to leave soon.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So I don't know whether this is a trend amongst our friends to not stay in a workplace for more than a year. Like it's like as though once you hit the 1 year mark, you have to sort of make your plans to exit, make a plan B, unless the company offers you something a little better. Yeah, so for me, I have been in my current workplace for the 3rd year now. I just recontracted again.
Congrats.
Yeah, so it seems like it seems a little abnormal for someone to stay in their job for longer than 2 years these days, I feel, at our age. And I have to really attribute my decision to my environment. I honestly love the environment that I work in. I don't think it's like tough or toxic at all. But when I hear my friends' stories, right, I will literally be like,
Why this kind of thing happened? Right?
Yeah. So many like shocking things. But let's just go around the table and talk about what we heard. We are spilling the goss.
But I think the number one thing that I've heard from most of the people who told me they were quitting is that they felt like their job scope had always extended beyond what they signed up for. And I think that's like number one. It's always been, I signed up for this job, and then the things that I'm doing, I'm covering for some other incompetent person's work. I'm always doing more than what I'm paid to do. And I think that's a very common, reoccurring complaint from everyone who was quitting or considering moving on.
What about you, Clem?
I mean, I can speak for a friend that I've spoken to during the party as well. So I mean, adding on to that is I think it's also communication. So I think what my friend felt was that she just didn't know. Okay, so I mean there's job description and everything, right? But I think it wasn't relayed well to her like how much she's managing the project. So then it's I think it's also very hard, for as you're in a new role and then you try hard. It's very hard for her to figure out the supervisor. Like, so how much am I managing? So I thought sometimes in this kind of situation, I feel like it's important for the supervisors actually to be able to, take the initiative to communicate properly. Like, okay, so for this project, I'll need you to, step up to do this, and that. So I think it's like she, during her job, like she just felt very stressed because she just didn't know. And I think she also didn't really like communicate with the supervisor well enough and caused a lot of anxiety and mental stress. yeah, I think that's why she also left after a while. So now she's in a new job.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit more mundane, but at least the roles are more like laid out, and then the environment is better lah, I would say.
I have to play the devil's advocate here. I am someone who thinks that you shouldn't do exactly what your job scope is in a job, because I feel like doing that really limits your growth. And when you are thrown things like sort of outside of your job scope, you really learn along the way. And when we are young, right, I feel like that's when we can chong sua. Is that the correct term? Like you can chong,
Yep.
you can take on the work, but obviously not like at the price of like working 12 hours a day or like 13, 16 hours a day. But if it makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable to take on a little bit more work, I think it's can tahan one lah.
So basically,
Yeah, no.
basically given a capacity lah, then you can work on like things at the outside.
Yeah. I think we really struggle with challenging ourselves these days. Like, we try to find things that are a little comfortable and within our comfort zone, and try to do things that we are already good at. But it's only through like doing these like saikang, or I don't even want to call it saikang, but like the things that are sort of unexpected that you truly see, oh wow, like I can actually do that.
Yeah.
And that's how you negotiate for like higher pay. Or
It's like, oh, I can do this now.
Yeah.
And like, you should pay me for that.
yeah, like how if you are always doing the same things, you just stagnate, you see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then let's say you are not happy with the job because it's like completely different from what you expected. Like you signed up to be a social media marketing person, and then suddenly they are telling you to do like data engineering, then obviously that's where like you have to consider whether you want to stay or leave. But let's say you're doing like social media marketing, and then you are tasked with a little bit more of project management. I think it's a challenge that we can all take in a sense.
Yeah, of course. But at the same time, you also want to have some sort of job fulfillment, especially if perhaps the new assignment or the change in job scope is something that you don't enjoy, you know. So I think for my friend, that was partially why they had enough. They felt like they were not being fulfilled in the job, because as much as they're learning a new skill, it was not a skill that she particularly enjoyed doing. And so she was not happy. And the kicker was after she reflected it to her boss, the boss tried to gaslight her into like, oh, you know, I'm only giving you all this because I really think that you can be the next big thing. I want
Oh,
you to
shit.
learn and all that kind of shit. And she's like, girl, I did not sign up for this. I don't want to do this. And I'm okay with doing it, but don't give me that shit. And then she quit.
Ah.
Yeah.
Actually, for Jin, what if I give you a situation like the boss, I mean your supervisor, just like throws it at you without like communicating properly, like, oh, so actually I need help with this, and no, I know it's up your job scope, like kind of like proper communication, you know. What if it's a situation where you just throw, do this,
Okay,
like
yeah.
get it done by.
Then
you
obviously
just do.
that would piss me off. Like
Okay.
I think that's an issue on like communication rather than like the workload not being sustainable in a sense. So that sort of reflects a major red flag in the communication in the workplace
Yeah.
rather than the difficulty of the task itself. Because I surely don't mind doing difficult tasks, and like even like saikang, right? Sometimes I'll just like close eye and do it. But if I'm not if it's just thrown on to me and not communicated to me, I think that's the issue is with the communication, not so much of the
Correct.
workload and
So
the
a lot of different
expectations.
factors comes into play.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. So like you guys are talking about your friends leaving this like toxic environment because of people they work with, right? Like it's there's a direct relationship that causes them to think, okay, I want to leave. Let me tell you a story of my friend who was this close to quitting because of an issue that was sort of beyond her control in a sense, because she wasn't working with the person involved, okay? So my friend, she had months of delayed payments.
Oh.
Months, okay? And in Singapore, right, I think the legal deadline for your pay to come in is 7 months after the 7 months. 7 days after
Yeah.
the payment is due.
Yep.
That's like the legal limit. Anything beyond that, right, you can file a claim already.
You know.
So my friend, she started work in this company. First month, second month, third month, all on time, all great. Like it started like being on time. 6, 7, 8 months later, her pay was 5 days late. The next month it was 7 days late. And then the next month, it was like a whole month late. Okay, it's like a major red flag, right? So, she decided to check in with her supervisor, and her supervisor found out that the person in charge of making sure that she's paid on time, right, had mental health issues, which is like completely understandable. Like someone who is in charge of your payments, right, is really struggling, and they have to offload their work. It affected other people. So she could definitely understand that there was an issue with the person in charge, and they decided to give her a break. Okay, the admin person in charge, who was in charge of the payments, they gave her a break, and then the next month her pay was late again.
Oh.
Like, okay, so you identified the issue, and you decided to take appropriate measures to help out the person who was in need, but the problem was still there. The payments were not being on time. So later it was just found out that people forgot about her pay. After the admin person was put on like mental health care leave, the other people just didn't pick up the slack, you know?
That's rubbish.
They didn't pick up the load, and well, anyway, so this is a kind of thing where you're like, okay, like I really need to understand that the person who's paying me is struggling, and like you have to accept that, right? What can you do about those kind of situations? And like you can't tell a sick person to like freaking slog and like do your work. You can't do that because the person is just like physically incapable of doing it.
Like there's a reason at least.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's perfectly normal to show empathy to the person who is struggling. But
Exactly. So she was very sympathetic to the person who was causing the late payments, and sure, like she was like, okay, like I don't need the money, but surely it would be nice if like they came on time instead of her having to chase the payments all the freaking time. So you have to fend for yourself whilst understanding that other people in the workplace, someone you don't even know, okay, has issues, but still like you have to be a little selfish in the sense
Assertive,
that assertive with especially when it comes to like payment matters lah. You know, like the company didn't have a proper HR person in place.
red flag.
Outside of the work, right, they're all sort of friends. So, which makes it even more difficult because she was asking for what was due, but she felt bad for asking what
You
was due.
shouldn't. You have to know your rights.
I guess, but
No, you
I
should.
kind of understand, but like, I have to
You
find
should
my
never
rights.
feel.
Yeah, so which
Bad.
is why I started out this episode saying that I treat my workplace like family. Even within families, right, you have to keep boundaries. And especially when it comes to things that affect your livelihood, the more you keep allowing it to happen, the more people will take advantage of you. So one of the most important things in the workplace, when you do notice red flags, right, is also to learn how to be confrontational and how to say no. And
Yep.
I think
Stand your ground.
Yeah, correct. Just come with the reason. I think what helps me is just come with the reason, like, or when I raise it up, it helps the company improve, or it helps systems to be better. So it's not just for myself, but it's also for people around. Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with doing something for yourself.
not a lot of us know how to be confrontational to anyone, let alone your supervisor at work
Fair.
or someone with power over you.
Correct.
You know?
And the power play comes into play. I think it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
I mean,
Power
that's
play.
why you need to know your rights. You need to know what you are entitled to.
Yeah,
What you deserve.
Yeah. So like everyone who is like signing for new work or new jobs, please read your contracts properly.
Yeah.
Because like I went through my I went through my friend's contract together with her, and then that's where we found out that the latest working day the latest payment day would be the 7th working day of the month, and then 7 days beyond that would be illegal. Like,
Yep.
that's what the employers are legally required to do.
Go read the MOM website, guys. It's important.
Yeah. So read your contracts, and if there's anything that's sort of like off to you, right? It's your right to fight for it.
That's right.
And it's on you to fight for it. If you don't fight for it, then you sign already. Then it's not your. It's like you can't do anything.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
HR is not here to protect you, it's to protect the company.
Yeah, so like a little bit more on HR, right? Before I actually started working, I thought HR was just someone who hires people.
Yeah.
You know, that's the impression that you get. Yeah, this HR person is like the first line of contact to any company. The person looks at me and like sees if I'm fit for the company, and then they arrange interviews for me to enter the company. That was like my impression of an HR person, until I realized there are many more layers to it.
Correct.
Clem, you were just saying before this podcast that you are going for HR training.
Yeah.
You have
I've
to
only
be,
been to one or
right?
two lah, but I'll just share what I know, you know. So I mean HR, yeah. So what you mentioned just now, hiring process under HR as well. We also need to take note of performance reviews. You know, then we're also the first point of contact if the any employee feels like they wanna just raise out like an issue lah regarding their department, their superiors, before just they can do so, ask for advice before they and then maybe know more about the legality of what they're entitled to, their rights, before they actually confront their superiors about it, that kind of thing. Yeah. Actually, there's quite a few other parts that HR is really involved in, and this is like some of the more important parts, like hiring, like I mentioned, hiring, rights, the performance reviews. And reviews is actually quite important. It's what I'm learning now in my current course. Yeah. So, and how also, for example, communication briefs.
Okay, let's move back to the main topic of red flags in the workplace. And people have been leaving their jobs because of these red flags. But of course, you guys know of the phenomenon of quiet quitting, which is the like you are very bowed up about your job already lah. Like you have reached the point of nirvana about the toxicity of your workplace, and you are resigned to it. You are not trying to fix anything about it, but you are tuning out a lot of elements of it. What do you guys think about that?
I thought, I personally think quiet quitting is more about not working past what you are paid for. You choosing to only give what the company deserves. And I say that in a very neutral manner, meaning this is my job scope, and hence I will work within my job scope. If it is 9 to 5, I end at 5. And I don't give more because I value my work and I value my value. You know what I mean? This is my value, and you have to pay to get what you want.
Yeah, so I thought that was a definition that I knew, but then I just don't know why it relates to like quiet quitting. You're not trying to quit, you're trying to create boundaries,
Exactly. And the problem with this term quiet quitting is that this term was popularized by the people who want to demonize it. And they chose to use the word quit inside this term, even though you are not quitting and there was no intention to quit, and you may continue to still find meaning in the job. It's just that whatever I do, I deserve to be paid adequately for it. And as such, if you are asking me to go way beyond what my job scope is, I will not do it. And hence the proper term, or rather a different term that was used way before it was called quiet quitting, is called working to rule. And this is a form of unionization by method, I guess, in the past, where people chose not to go above and beyond because they are not paid, and they were not compensated fairly for it. And so they chose to only work to rule. So 9 to 5 means I leave at 5.
Yeah. Okay, so I feel like quiet quitting, when used like according to its definition, quiet quit is really referring to someone who is burnt out and not actively quitting their jobs, but really just working their wage. So I feel like your definition of it, right, is actually just the term working your wage. You know, you are working just like not above and beyond, but also not like under delivering, but you're just working your wage. So my opinion of quiet quitting is that like you really have to take the definition of quitting quite literally, you know, like yeah, quiet.
okay.
Yeah, you know, you are so burnt out, and there are so many elements to your workplace that you know that you can't change, but this work comes with its other benefits, like maybe perhaps a good pay, perhaps like a decent single supervisor, maybe one toxic guy or something like that. So you're tuning out to the bad stuff, but accepting the good that comes along with it. So you are staying in the job, but you are not giving your all to your job. You don't love it so passionately to the extent that you would break an arm and a leg for your company. You know, so that was my impression of quiet quitting all this time. I think, yeah, like for sure, some people demonize you like just doing the bare minimum, but I feel like the correct term for that is working your wage.
Correct.
You know?
And I haven't thought like quiet quitting is because I mean there's also like quiet firing, right? Where
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like
yeah.
trying to make the employee's life so tough that they want to quit by themselves.
Yes.
So I thought
Disgusting.
quiet quitting also meant like, you know, you're working just the bare minimum, giving like very bad attitude, so that you get fired and you get a severance pay. But apparently it's not. So I'm just
Well,
really
I guess
confused. Yeah.
that's another
Correct,
way
yeah.
of thinking of quiet quitting. So
Yeah.
then you decide what quiet quitting is. But if you are currently quiet quitting at your workplace right now, then obviously you are either number one, resigned to the toxic environment, or number two, you are just you're just like comfortable there lah. You know? Yeah, you don't mind all this like external distractions or like drama, and you just do your work. You know?
Then what do you think about working to rule then if you change to this, right? Like do you think it's okay? Because I
Working
think for someone who's hardworking, but they work according to like for 9 to 5 to so that they keep their boundaries and they have enough, make sure they have enough rest after work. They give the 110% during work timings, but then after that they just like really take it seriously to like relax. Do you think what do you think of that?
That's the right way to live, what?
That's as it should be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as
right?
it should be. That's the right way to live, you know? Like working to rule. I don't know how
Working of rage, working to rule.
Yeah. I think that's what really a lot of people who quiet quit are doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At least that's what people who have been labeled as quiet quitters. They are just working to wage.
Right?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I think
yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. So don't feel like, you know, like people like it's not the right way to do things. Like it's very normal to work beyond your hours every day kind of thing. I don't think
Yeah.
it's
Quiet quit is
right.
just a very mean way of saying it.
yeah,
Exactly, which is why I said it's being used to demonize people who are
Correct,
just
correct.
working their wage.
Yeah.
Correct,
Like
correct.
perhaps people who use it wrongly are the ones who demonize it. But like if you use it in the right context, like someone is burnt out and they are just like resigned to their fate, then I feel like that is the literal meaning of quiet quitting.
I hope they are finding a new job.
Yeah, for sure. No, in fact, I think a lot of people who are quiet quitting are like maybe looking for new
Looking
jobs
for
already.
greener pastures.
Yeah.
As they should. I mean, if you don't find fulfillment in your job,
Yeah.
and there might be other people who are looking to be in your position. So
Well, speaking
just find a better fit.
Yeah. So speaking of like looking for new jobs and stuff,
Sorry.
I don't think like I'm not in a position to say that I am looking for greener pastures or like better jobs, because honestly I am very happy with my current job. You guys run your own company,
So we don't get
so-
to look for greener pastures.
Yeah, you don't get to unless
we
you
have
are
to
like
build the greener pastures, you know.
exactly. You are the ones planting the planting
the
the
grass.
seeds.
Yeah.
So hopefully your employees can like vouch for this. But I mean, even though we are not in a position of like looking for better jobs or whatsoever, I'm sure like all of us at one point in time have worked in an environment that was full of red flags.
Yeah, intern.
Yeah,
shit
when we were
was so
interning.
bad.
The
Oh my God,
best thing
are we going there?
yes, we are going there. Well, the best thing about working in red flag environments as an intern is that you know that your time is gonna come to an end.
Yeah.
You know, there is an end in sight.
Correct.
You
I
know?
can't imagine for the full timers.
Yeah.
bad.
You
wanna
have
go
you
first?
have plenty of working experience before you built this company, and I'm pretty sure perhaps from your bad experiences in your previous workplaces, you sort of channeled that experience into your current company and tried to
Definitely.
make a good environment for everyone working around you.
Yeah. And I also think on top of that, not it's very important to also not like overcompensate. You know, like because basically when I was okay, let me just share my story then. So when I was an intern, I was at a production house. I will not name who. Okay. So basically I felt like this instance so it was during a shoot, right? So I was a production assistant. So I was the person buying food, you know, making sure everyone's happy, give them drinks, give them welfare, right? So it was particularly during this shoot, there's this full timer that I didn't really like around. But like okay, I won't in the role, but basically he was on the shoot. So it was lunchtime, and we just finished lunch, right? We didn't have a proper trash bag, so we had a trash bin that was a bit like I think it was like a 2-3 minutes walk away, right? So this person just literally like you know instead of like some of us, right, the crew actually went to throw them themselves. Now I was really appreciative for lah, because it's also on the way to the entrance to back to the shoot location. Then this guy just puts his trash on the floor and he just walked off like with someone else and just started like chit chatting, not even discussion about the shoot. And then I was just like giving the face right? I'm like, huh, okay, then sure. But then he came up to me and he also told me like, you're just an intern. This is your job. Huh? You think you're full timer already? That kind of thing. Then I'm just like, huh? I didn't even like, you know, like I get it's my job, but the thing is like,
Your job was to clean the trash
yeah,
at the
then,
production
yeah,
set.
but I just don't know why they had to be so
Condescending
about it. That's right. Yeah. So I actually did have a chat around with like my other full timers, and then I realized that it's because he also was a intern back then at the same company, and he was treated the same way by his full timers. That for me, I just felt like if you know that this treatment is wrong, I don't think it should be passed on to the next generation. Like I wouldn't want to do it to my interns. Yeah, so that's why right now when I mean I'm in that supervisor role, right? Then I'll also be more mindful of how you know the way we speak to our interns and everything, that the attitude, the tone. I think to me that really matters lah. Yeah, make sure that you know not talking down. Make sure all opinions are so heard. But at the same time, also as a supervisor, then it's on you to make that right choice and make the right and tough choice, not always the best the choice that makes someone else happy, but the right choice for the company.
It's a fine line.
Correct.
Yeah. You try to make everyone content, but you cannot make everyone extremely over the moon, you know?
Yeah, you have to choose something that
Yeah.
is best lah.
Meet the bare minimums. Yeah. You know what? I honestly wish that I could have been a little more confrontational about a lot of things. When I was working under this particular person previously, well, I've worked under like many people, so you'll never know who I'm talking about. Thank God. This person was in a meeting, and it was like a department-wide meeting involving like other people as well. So when someone asked, okay, like can you guys fill me in on this? Obviously, it was an online meeting, by the way. So someone asked, oh, okay, like can you guys fill me in on this? What's going on? And then there was just silence because that person was supposed to reply, but obviously perhaps they were distracted by something, and it was just like silence for 3 seconds. But okay, so I stepped in, I unmuted myself, and I replied the question. Okay, after the meeting, this person came to me and said, "You can't do that. Like, you can't speak before me."
Ooh.
Yeah, which was like, what the fuck? I was like, oh, I didn't hear anything from you. So, which is, and I had the numbers, so I unmuted myself and I replied on your behalf. But then, like, they were really unhappy about the fact that I spoke before them and it painted badly on them.
Well, maybe if they replied faster.
I know, right?
Did she explain like why she didn't?
No, so I said, okay, well, I replied because I have the answer and you weren't replying. Then they said, I needed time to unmute myself. What the fuck?
Oh my god.
Yeah, but anyways, this internship, it ended on a pretty decent note, and it was fine. Like after that, after the whole internship, I had a conversation with this person, and they were actually very apologetic about their actions. They were very well aware of the environment that they were making, and it was because they were unhappy. You know, so I felt sympathy for sure, but the time working under this person, right, was just so filled with negativity and a lot of anxiety as well, because you are constantly fed with negative information, and that just makes you not want to work as well. So thank God it was an internship, because if it was a full-time job and that person was leaving and I wasn't, it would have been like, yeah,
Painful.
absolutely painful. But it ended well lah. Like everything considered, it ended well. It's just that this one time has affected me so much that when someone who is superior to you tells you to shut up, like, I mean, they didn't tell me to shut up, but that was what was implied, right? Don't talk before me, you know. And I mean, if they spoke, then obviously I wouldn't have spoken anyway, right? But them telling me don't talk before me was, to me, I heard it as shut up.
Yeah.
Like, just sit down and like be the observer that you are. Don't butt in. And it was so offensive.
It was.
Yeah. So can you imagine working in this kind of like pressurized environment where if you speak and you're speaking facts, you're told off about it? Like, not talking about your colleagues to your other colleagues is the best thing that you can do to start a healthy workplace culture. If you want to bitch about your colleagues or like people who work with you, right, please do it with someone who is like outside of the company. Like, you really don't want to fester an environment of like a whole group of people ganging up against one person.
Yeah, for
you know?
sure.
Yeah. So like, even if you're mistreated by this one person, right, be like Yi Yang and confront that person directly, because
Hey, bitch.
Oh,
I've got some beef with you.
wow, that one just creates trouble when I go.
Yeah, but I mean, as much as possible, if you have issues with someone and you are able to like muster up the courage in you to confront that person, please do so.
Have an adult
Yeah.
conversation, a
Yeah.
mature one,
Yeah.
respectfully, you know?
And of course, it's not the easiest thing to do, and it's not the most viable thing to do sometimes.
Yep.
But you have to make sure that you tried. Yeah.
Correct. Because if you don't tell the other person don't know, it's not fair for them
Yeah.
to get some kind of treatment that they don't really like deserve lah.
Yeah. You don't want to pit your team
Correct.
mates against a teammate. Yeah. Okay, so that's one of my tips to create a healthy work environment. But do you guys have any other things that you want to add on?
So this is something that I learned from my HR course last Friday. So this HR manager was actually telling us, like, you know, in her department, right? I think this applies to any department as well, right? Usually she has a informal, like, weekly coffee session where she invites all the staff, you know, to just go over to like this, like a cafe, somewhere that is not an environment where it's not like, especially not in like your own like room, your working room or something like that, office or something like that. But it's like a place where it's more relaxed, right? And then this is when they take the time to, you know, just talk about how's everyone doing, and also you know, just it's more like a session for open feedback, right? So where she will, you know, actually give some feedback to the employees, like her staff, and like, you know, what's could be improved. And it's also a chance for the employees themselves to actually feedback to her, like what she felt like, what they felt like she could have done to help make the working culture better, or like any things that she could have done better that will help the employees work better, that kind of thing. And I think that's something that I'm not sure how we can apply to our own like workspaces.
It's
But
just
then-
feedback, lor. I
Yeah.
think it's consistently
Correct.
gaining feedback in a casual manner.
Yeah. Like, no pressure environment.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think it's more applicable to us in a sense, because we literally just graduated. We just started this, and after we graduated, right? So it's very minimal experience being like a supervisor or anything. So I think it's even more important that we get feedbacks from our interns, from ourselves, from other people as well, to slowly improve lah. It's like a good chance lah. Yeah.
Basically, keep receipts and take them out when the feedback sessions.
Respectfully.
Respectfully take out some receipts and lay it on the table for the relevant people to see if there are any issues. But so you have to be brave enough to talk about your honest feelings and feedback to people, and perhaps that also opens up a space for them to be critical of you as well. Yeah, like just be open-minded and also be brave.
I think as with everything that we've mentioned today, I think communication is like number one. It's like so important to have open communication, even between you and your supervisor. Your supervisor should be open in their communication to you as well. And I think that's like number one to keep a workplace healthy. Because I think a lot of people, they are willing to put in the work, but they need to understand why they're putting in this, they're doing this certain thing that maybe when out of context just feels like, it just feels like menial labor, like understanding where each person, what belongs in a team, how they play a part in the entire team's vision. I think that makes work meaningful. And that helps people to really be able to pick up a job that maybe they didn't sign up for, but understanding how it's meaningful might help them to
develop a certain passion for it.
or at least be motivated to get it done.
Yeah. The bare minimum, be motivated enough to get shit done.
Exactly.
Correct. Just add on to that as well. Yeah, I think it's also very important to, as in the supervisor role, right, to also, when you make a decision, right, as much as possible, try to explain the reasoning behind it. Yeah. So that, so one thing is that they understand and they are more motivated to actually do something. And also maybe like sometimes you might think like, oh, your way of doing it is correct. And so when you say it out, right, and if someone else feels like, oh, actually there's a better way of doing this and there's a better reasoning why, then we can take that better approach. And I think it is win-win lah, right? Yeah.
Oh, and one last thing, transparency.
Correct.
Yeah, be transparent. Hopefully all of us, as we develop in our careers, will be able to be transparent and honest as possible in our jobs. I know that it's really difficult, especially when you have things you need to protect. Perhaps sometimes leaving things in the dark can truly protect you. Or like you hide a single mistake and you're not honest about it. These things compound over time, So as you're starting out and you are trying to be in a good, healthy workplace environment, and you want to continue that kind of environment, you have to be transparent, honest, nice, and what else? Brave enough to talk about. I'm sorry.
Open.
Brave, open. Yes, open in
to listen.
communication.
Yeah.
Open
to listen as well.
Yes.
It goes both ways.
Yeah. So I think that pretty much wraps up our episode on toxic environments, toxic
Workplaces.
Yeah,
toxic workplace cultures, red flags in your workplace. If you have any stories of red flags in your workplace, I guess you can
send them to us. I want to
leave it
hear
down
them.
and leave
DM
it.
us.
Yeah.
I'm not
Or
in
leave it in
your
the comments.
company, so you can hot goss with me.
Yeah, leave it down in the comments below on the YouTube. Okay, and also a short plug, because we are talking about nice workplaces and nice places to work at. Zerop wants to let you guys know that they are hiring.
We are always hiring interns, my friends.
Okay, and next up on adulting with former children, we are. Can I just say we are releasing an episode that we actually recorded way back.
It's a cool one because we have a special guest. We have Adam coming on the show with us. Adam from
The Novel Encounter.
Yeah, exactly. And we are going to be talking about creative
careers.
careers.
I'm so trying hard to sing that.
But it is a great way to wrap up this season, I think, for us, because this is exactly what we're doing. Creative careers.
Yeah,
So-
Adulting with Former Children will be back for one last episode before we wrap up the season. So make sure you watch out for that episode.
And if you watch it enough, we might come back for a second season.
All right, so make sure you leave a 5-star review on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and follow or subscribe to the podcast on your preferred platform. We are on YouTube as well, so that you can be notified when a new episode gets released. And also, share this podcast on your IG story with your friends, with your previous bosses, with your previous workplaces,
Tag
with
them.
your previous colleagues.
them.
Tag them.
I was like, oh my
Let-
God.
Make the font so small they cannot see.
This story is literally me, and then you tag them.
Slay. Okay.
Okay.
And follow us on @ZeroMedia and our personal handles. I'm at Jinxyu, JINXYOO.
I'm at Clemus Pang, GGCLAMUSPANGG.
How can you not know your own handle? But I am at Engyang, NGYIYANG.
I stand for a while. And also, sorry, and also if you're interested in applying for intern, just drop us a DM at Zero Media on Instagram. Okay.
All right. And once again, thanks so much for listening to Adulting with Former Children. We will see you
In the next...
one. Do you have insurance? Why is he gonna propose?
Your bro is not investing already.
Hey, you book a hotel. You buy car already.
Hey, adult already. Hello.